I'm Doug Alston. I'm the COO and one of the founders of a company called Gyro Media Services. And Gyro is a media and technology company that is a streaming company focused on bringing the best of the arts across the Black diaspora as produced by emerging artists. It turns out one of the elements of our service offering is actually a streaming art concept. If you think about it, movies have Netflix, music has Spotify, and we're creating Gyro and Gyro art for artists. Well, I'm not an artist. Let me just start with that. So my answer to that question is a little roundabout and not what you would expect. But I'll tell you that I've always had, some exposure to Black art, thanks to my parents and Jet and Ebony magazine. I grew up with some awareness of Black art, and I was always a music lover. But about 15 years ago, my interest in visual art peaked because I was in a position with my company where I traveled extensively across Latin America. And it was one time I was sitting in the airport in Nicaragua in a layover. I was talking to a brother. We just sat down and started talking to me. He started talking to me, and he encouraged me to buy at least one piece of art on every trip that I took. And he said, when you finish, he said, you'll be glad that you did. And I took that to heart. And I'm so glad. My wife and I are both glad that we did that, because we discovered when we looked at art from across Latin America, in particular, like with Brazil, Panama, and Chile, we saw a strong element of African influence that we found very interesting and quite beautiful. So we enjoy the whole process from discovery, framing, to finding the right place in the home to place a piece. So that's my interest in art. Now, professionally, I'm actually an engineer by training. I spent 30 years in the telecom industry. And about 3 years ago, I retired from corporate life, and I was looking for, the next career, so to speak. And at that time, I was doing some consulting work that was focused on video streaming when the spark of the idea, came to us around Gyro art. And so my partner and I at the time spent a little time researching the industry, trying to understand what the visual art world was all about. And we concluded that Gyro art was a great opportunity, something interesting and important, and something that we felt was worthwhile as an entrepreneurial pursuit. Well, I think Atlanta has a good arts scene already. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement when you compare Atlanta to cities like Los Angeles, New York. And, first and foremost, right, it's important for, I think, Atlanta to kind of raise the profile of visual art here in the city. And, going back just to the basics on how you do that, there are a number of things that I think the city can do. First and foremost, right, is to create more opportunities for artists to monetize their work in and around the community. I think it's also important that the city do more, find more ways to educate the general population, just education through kind of the secondary school system. But there's a lot of universities and schools here in Atlanta which are a tremendous resource that the city could bring to bear to actually make Atlanta what I would call a steam engine for the world. And so those are things that I think that the city can do. The other thing that I think is very important is embrace digital. And this is where Gyro lives, so this is kind of a commercial for Gyro. But I think that when you look at the arts and what has happened in other disciplines like music, film, literature, etc., all of them have gotten just a tremendous boost from the introduction of digital technologies, and digital technology associated with creation, distribution, and consumption. And I think that it would help if Atlanta could be a part of helping the visual art community embrace digital fully at a faster pace, because history has shown that eventually this is the way it will go. And you're much better off embracing the change, being a part of the change, and being a part of driving the change than you are continuously lagging and being a responder.